And thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to the webinar, Why Training Clients via Salesforce is One of the Secrets to Customer Success, as presented by Tridium and Cornerstone OnDemand. I'm Katie Burke, Marketing Strategist at Cornerstone, and I'll be your moderator today. Before we begin, I have just a couple housekeeping items to cover. First, this webinar is being recorded and will be sent in a follow-up email at a later date, so don't worry about furiously taking notes. If you'd like to ask a question, you can do so at any time using the Q&A on the right-hand portion of your screen. We will try to answer as many questions as we can during the Q&A portion of the webinar. If you experience any technical issues, please message me in the chat box and I will assist you as best as I can. I'm excited to be joined by three fantastic presenters on today's webinar. John Jarvis will be kicking things off. John is Principal Consultant at Cornerstone OnDemand and has had a 35-plus year career as an HR and IT executive in business and consulting. John has worked with multinational corporations in retail, healthcare, financial services, high-tech, transportation, utilities, and government. His areas of expertise include HCM strategy, HRMS and payroll, shared services, and planning and budgeting. We're also joined by John Jarvis, or JJ, on today's webinar. He's the Education Business Leader for Tridium. He has extensive experience within the global manufacturing and computer software industry. He has a passion for learning and sees customer education as the key ingredient for customer and company success. And finally, we're joined by Mike Babcock. Mike began helping his family members understand technology at a very young age, and this early experience ignited his passion for high-tech learning and development, which ultimately led to his role as Tritium's Learning Management System Administrator. With Tridium, Mike enables people to become experts in the Internet of Things. Despite assisting hundreds of people worldwide to master Tridium's products, he still cannot get his 81-year-old mother to figure out her television remote. The struggle is real, Mike. We understand. So today's webinar will start with a conversation with John Jarvis about how you should train your customers and why you should care about it. Then we'll transition over to John and Mike from Tridium. They'll give us an overview of the vision, objectives, and results for Tritium University, and then show us a demonstration of how it works. We'll close today's webinar with time for Q&A. So without further ado, I'll hand things off to John Jarvis. John, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Katie. Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon for some, and it's a pleasure to join you today. As Katie said, I work in the Thought Leadership and Advisory Services group at CSOD, and what's a really cool part of my job is I get to look at the market, ask a bunch of questions about where it's going, and ask kind of what if. And you're going to hear a really great story from Tridium today from the point of view that they've done something very forward-thinking, and it is something that is seeing some expanded activities in the marketplace. And we thought we would give you some of the context for that before they tell you their story. So I just want to take a few minutes and show you my what-if question. What if you could increase customer profitability by 25 to 95%? You know what? There just might be a way to do that, though probably not in the way that you first would have thought. And let's see how that way might be. So, as we all know, learning has clearly become a mantra for business success as we all contend with the rapid changes in the workplace. Things like the demographics in the workforce, the rise of millennials, and simultaneously having 3 and sometimes 4 generations in the same workplace. The technologies are impacting us, the PC, the internet, the web, mobile, apps, and now the explosion of analytics and AI. It's pretty much in everything we do in our day-to-day life, and it's becoming more and more prevalent in business. And the pace is fast and furious. So what does that mean for business? Well, A lot of the business pundits are pretty much in agreement that in order to be successful in the future, companies are going to have to change the way they do business, their culture, and in fact, they're going to have to become learning organizations. Now, generally, we see these statements directed mostly to the internal culture and management of the workforce. And it's all really about having impact. However, you can broaden this concept to your entire business ecosystem. And what we're going to talk about today, extended enterprise learning, does exactly that and does it for impact. So by way of definition, you can see on the screen that extended enterprise learning is an effort to extend the learning experience beyond the company's four walls, get beyond the folks that are at corporate office, address all of the folks that are out working virtually. And we're saying we can extend that even beyond that, and that is the entire ecosystem. So that would include your suppliers, your partners, and your customers. It's applying strategies that inform, empower, and engage that entire value chain for impact. So what kind of impact am I talking about? So let's take a look at some of the statistics we've seen recently. A study by Brandon Hall contained the following impacts of extended learning. So you can see on the left, 69 of the companies responded saw an increase in awareness of their products and services. 65% saw an improvement in customer relations. 65% also saw maximized client retention, and we're going to get back to that one. And 35% saw a reduction in their customer support interactions. And in that last one, it really is a story of having a customer base that is more informed, more enabled, and that's going to equal more benefit and value to your customer and lower cost to you. And again, that 65% maximum client retention has a very big impact. And that impact was 61% saw an increase in their sales. Better suppliers, better partners, more knowledgeable customers. That is a big bang if I ever saw one. So there's some real impact in the effects of extended learning. I want to talk a little bit about the retaining and customer engagement, and here I'm going to answer that what-if question that we started out with. I mentioned engagement. It's an employee's, or in our discussion today, a customer's emotional and ultimately economic investment in your brand. And as we saw earlier, keeping customers longer can improve profit. When you can help a customer learn to use your products and services to maximize the benefit of the relationship to you, good things are going to happen, and you're either going to cut costs or hopefully raise sales and the top line. But here's some interesting facts. We know that new customers cost up to 5 times more than retaining a current one. We also know that retained customers become better users of our products, our services, and thereby reducing the cost of the service. And then here's the money shot. Increasing retention by 5% can result in a 25% to 95% increase in customer profitability over time. And I think we could have a great discussion at some point in terms of what that is stemming from, but again, it's engagement, it's an investment that your customers have with you because you've empowered them with your products or services and made it easier for them to get accomplished what they had to get accomplished. And that's really the goal of any business. So I want to talk a little bit about how do you do that and what's the extended learning delivery channels. It's about providing an ease of opportunity for them to learn and improve, and for you to benefit from simplifying administration and linking everything together. For your customer, it's providing a better customer experience that's engaging, easy to use, and easy to get to. For your company, It's easily managing things with one environment and providing a single source of the truth for your reporting and analytics. And so there's those two edges of this continuum. It's getting in, getting the business that you need to get done as a customer, getting the help that you need. And for the company, it's providing that ease of service, that ability to engage and retain, and then further doing analysis on the results of that interaction. And I think you're going to hear a great story today, how Tridium did this using Cornerstone's service for Salesforce. And the impact, you're going to hear all about that. Okay, I'm sorry about that, just missing click. One last point before I turn it over to John, and that is some of the questions that you want to consider when you're thinking about doing this. And there are 5 really key things to think through. Number 1, are you meeting the needs of your diverse extended enterprise? Are you using design thinking and thinking about the user experience and what they're going to go through? Part of that diverse need of the enterprise that's extended. Can you accelerate learning, and how do you accelerate time to productivity? And there's really 2 points of that. Not only productivity in terms of the use of the product or the services that you're providing, but that ultimately, as we saw, accelerate time to profitability. Another question, just-in-time training. How do you deliver learning at the exact point of need? You're going to hear about that. Driving engagement, we've spent a bit of time on that. How do you drive engagement and improve customer loyalty? Again, by empowering them, by making them knowledgeable, by getting some stickiness to your contact with them through all the various channels that you have to sell products and services with your customer. And this is an additional one. And finally, are you seeing the value of your learning investment? Are you seeing concrete returns? Is there a concrete profit-making possibility here, just beyond those things that we talked about? And I think you're going to find that they are. So one last point, doing more with less complexity, less time, and less cost ultimately results in greater value. So it's on that note, I'm going to turn it over to JJ, and he can tell you the rest of the story.
Thank you, John. Again, my name is John Jarvis. I'm the Education Business Leader here at Tridium, and we're kind of in the Internet of Things software industry. So as you can imagine, with any kind of technology company, training and the changes in delivery of that training just in time or fast is very important, as our customers need to be able to deploy our solutions. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the story of our relationship with the company Cornerstone, but also, more importantly, our relationship with the customer and how we can provide better services and solutions so that they have that training just in time. And so with that, so today I'll talk a little bit about our overall learning vision strategy, some of the challenges that we've faced in the past and continue to face today, and looking at some of the solutions that we've been able to build, and ultimately what's the impact or the benefit from that. And then later in today's presentation, Mike will actually show you a live demonstration both from a customer view as well as an administrative view. And then we'll talk a little bit with a wrap-up on the business impact for us and why we see this as a critical partnership that we have with Cornerstone, not only from a technology but also from a relationship as one of our key suppliers. So Tritium University is basically what we're trying to do is to build a platform for continual education anytime, anywhere. I started working with the company about 3 years ago, and when I came on board, we were training a traditional kind of what we would call a system integrator, buildings facility person, you know, on how to use our technology. But it was very, our approach was just teaching instructor-led training, which you see is here. And we had a platform which we would gather the registration information, but then we had to enter all that information into another system, our customer relationship management system called Salesforce, in order to track all the information for the extended enterprise, both internally and externally. So when I was challenged to improve that, not only the user experience, but internally increase the efficiency, because we were seeing a tremendous amount of growth within our company due to the technology adoption. Training was growing at about a 25% year-over-year the last 3 years. We knew that we needed to improve the way we did things and the systems that supported that. So the thought came, and a lot of my discovery was, is there a solution out there that is native in Salesforce and that could basically manage all the learning profile for that individual? So in other words, what classes have they taken? What have they been certified in? What else are they looking at? And leverage that so that the interaction would be leveraging that social component that John spoke about earlier, using the online communities within Salesforce. We could have a really strong, hub called Salesforce, and then build out applications and functionality within Salesforce to have one single source of truth. And so, so that was kind of our goal when we looked at it about a year ago, and we brought Mike on board as a new employee to help us solve those challenges. So the challenges that we had is that we did have an LMS tool, but it wasn't integrated with our digital customer experience of a community, of a marketplace, with our website or Salesforce. So it was, in a lot of senses, it was on its own island. The LMS tool, like a lot of things, is a training tool. Yet there's a lot of rich data about your customer that exists in that database. So we were replicating that information, and anytime you replicate stuff or type things in manually, lots of times you have accuracy issues, information that's not updated real time, and it just became also a productivity killer in the sense that we were having to put information in 2 different systems just for the business. So that gets to the second point. The current tool was difficult to manage. It was difficult to update and maintain, which made us very inefficient and led to errors. And when you come to our business, accuracy is extremely important, because the people that are in the field, we train them, but not only train them, but we have to certify them that they are able to use the solutions to put in critical assets in say, a commercial building, for instance, your HVAC, your lighting, your security systems, and so forth and so on. And this can be for government or for commercial. So it became very important to us that our data was, real-time and accurate. And then we also needed to deliver this on a global nature. So we have training sites all around the globe, and we have demand, as you can imagine, whether it's Dubai, Beijing, Australia, or all over Europe and Asia-Pac, that is starting to adopt this, what we call a connected building or smart cities approach to design. And so we needed to provide a system that had global reach, so that, for instance, if somebody needed to take training, regardless of where they were, they could get access to our virtual training, our e-learning training, and also register for the courses as needed. So our objective, based on those challenges, was to deliver a learning management system that was native to Salesforce platform. And we obviously evaluated a lot of other systems as well. And a lot of systems would make claims that they are integrated with Salesforce. But when you look under the covers, if it wasn't built natively within the solution, you still were dealing with 2 databases, and that data can get out of sync pretty fast. And then the headaches end up with a company that's, I don't want to be the IT manager managing 2 different solutions and making sure that the data is accurate. I had that before, and it was a headache. And then the other thing is that because we were, as a company, moving very fast in technology, we wanted to look for a solution that we could be up and running in less than 6 months. And so we wanted to look for something that had a low cost of not only purchase, but from an ownership perspective. It's going to provide the productivity gains without a whole lot of customization or effort on top of that. So we were looking more for what are things that are out of the box that are going to give us that benefit. And ultimately, we wanted to focus on improving the customer experience. We were given basically a white sheet of paper, but we wanted to make sure it had the components of the social, the ability to be mobile, to be able to do the analytics and reporting within Salesforce, and the cloud access, around the globe. And really, the goal here was to manage the life cycle of both our customers and employees' education in one unified platform, and that platform being Salesforce. So as we went down this approach, I kept reminding my team that we need to maintain 3 simple goals. We need to make the user experience simple. We've got to make sure that we can roll this out globally, and we've got to make sure that the process is fast. Anything that takes long and it's not fast, the customers will get tired and won't use it. So from a simple perspective, we wanted to make it very much like the Amazon buying process. You can search for the course that you're looking for, find it, buy it, take the training, and get certified in one intuitive user experience. So we went through the process of developing our own branded front page that was fully integrated and connected to the Cornerstone learning management system. The other big benefit we had was the ability for our customers, when they create a sign-on with us at Tridium, it's used for all the systems that we connect. So we have a Niagara community that's built on Salesforce. We have a marketplace that's built on Salesforce. We have now the university and our licensing all built off the Salesforce platform. So the nice thing is that the customer has just one log on, which is the key to get access to all the various applications built in. From a global perspective, we knew that we had 2 things, not only in the global perspective of the delivery, and so we knew that we had to take into consideration language differences. Did this system support multi-language? What was the support from the aspect of, what type of data center infrastructure was this built off of, so that regardless of where you were, as long as you had a good internet connection, you could get access to virtual training, e-learning, sign up for courses, both for our internal and external customers. And to be honest, with our previous system, we had a lot of resistance to the rollout of the LMS. It was really only supporting our Americas customers. And so we wanted to make sure that we took the input on what were the challenges that both our training partners and customers in Europe and Asia-Pac wanted to oversee. And just to give you an idea, when we rolled it out in the U.S., it only took us about 1 month after that to roll it out both in Asia-Pac and Europe, which to me is extremely fast adoption with any solution. And then fast, if you look at it, we've really speeded up our internal processes. We have real-time training data and reporting, and we can deliver to the customer, their certifications and CEUs instantaneously as soon as we receive the grades from the training partners. And that process in the past sometimes would take a couple weeks to nail that out or get that data in the other system. And again, that's where a unified single database of information gives you that ability to do that. So with that, I'm going to go now hand it over to Mike, who's going to really show you the exciting thing, which is a live demonstration of our Tritium University offering. And again, Mike was critical coming from his background in his previous company, but really working in concert with myself and the Cornerstone team to develop the solution you're about to see. Okay, Mike, take it away.
Excellent. Thank you. Can everybody hear me and view my screen? Good to go, John? All right, thumbs up. All right, as John mentioned, I am the LMS administrator for Cornerstone for Salesforce LMS. And I started with Tridium last March, and by September 6th, we had gone live with the application. So very quick implementation, the documentation and the product and support processes were all very good with Cornerstone, and that enabled us to go live so quickly. So what you're looking at now is our landing page. John mentioned this, and think of this as the front door to the training system. And technically, this is not part of the LMS. This is a page that Tridium developed, and it integrates very tightly with the LMS, and it does require a login And even before that, a user must sign up into Salesforce and create themselves a login for access to the university, to the community marketplace, and the other applications we offer to our extended enterprise. So one of our main objectives to keep this simple, as John mentioned, is to allow an environment in which the students could self-service themselves. They would not have to call us and have us register them on the site. They wouldn't have to call us to learn how to use the site. So we have done that with our landing page. We have different resources directly accessible from our landing page, such as FAQs. We have a video explaining what Tridium does and how we operate, and we also have a getting started video right here, which steps students through the very easy process of registering on the site, enrolling into training, completing their training, and then downloading their certificate. As I scroll down a bit, we've also categorized the many courses and classes that we offer into various categories representing our various product lines here. When a user clicks on one of these boxes, they are required to log in. And then it takes them directly to that category of classes by filtering on the catalog. However, we did not want to force all users, all public users, to actually create a login and log in to see just a simple schedule. So we designed this public-facing schedule with just simple links to both the location of the class and the class itself. So as John mentioned, we have different categories of training. We have e-learning, which is represented up here with these links, and then our instructor-led training, both virtual and classroom attended, are listed here. And you can see that our global classes are also listed in one location, making it very easy for anybody across the globe to find the class that best fits their location and their timing of when they need the training. So we'll just scroll down a bit through those. So as you can see, we are very busy. We have multiple classes every week. We also require certification for our students to actually integrate and implement our software. So that's a very important model, training model that we require. So we don't give away our training for free. We require certifications. Our students get their certifications through the training, and they must pay us or our training partners for that training. And each one of our training partners also is a revenue source for us, both via the students that they train and training them to become trainers. We have a training partner program which allows us to use that as a source of revenue. We also have a direct tie into the training calendar, which I'll show you after I log in. And that is about the extent of our landing page. Again, you can see we used a very clean and simple design, very self-service, and it has very much so reduced our extended enterprise requirements to contact us via the telephone, email, etc., in order to sign up and get enrolled in the training. So with that, I will log in with my default login and password information. And essentially, after a student logs in, they see the same screen. They have all the same resources, except there's a couple of new links that appear up here to the catalog and a direct link to my training. So I will click on our course catalog, which provides more detail than what you saw on the initial landing page. And what you're going to see is you will see a catalog link, which is a default, and then my training, and then completed, and then another link to the getting started demo video here. And users essentially work themselves from left to right. They pick a training, then this is active training, and then a complete history from the beginning of time appears here. So it's very common for our students to, or they used to request certificate reprints. and that would require additional administrative time for us to look up their training. We would actually physically print their cert and put it in the mail to them, and now that's completely been eliminated. Students can just log in and download a cert whenever they need, and I'll show you that momentarily. So this is a complete list of our training, and I'll just scroll down a little bit. It goes down much further than that, but you've probably noticed that we have several free training events, and then we have paid training events. For example, this advanced training, the cost is there. There's other information, prerequisites, and other details that are necessary for the student to know. And then once a student clicks into one of these events, there are additional details such as a very easily downloadable agenda, hotel and other accommodation information, as well as the next scheduled class. If I back up, I will enroll into one of those free e-learnings right here, Modbus drivers. So we have an integration with Marketo, which is another Salesforce app, and we use these free trainings really to gather information about our extended enterprise. What we want to do is discover what students, what users are interested in which free training, and then we contact them and say, oh, you were interested in Modbus drivers. Well, we have a paid class that has Modbus driver information in, as well as X, Y, and Z information, and then we bring them into the fold and hopefully get them to pay for paid training events. So it's been very successful. We're doing this more and more, and like I said, it has been a very successful project for us. So there's also an easy way to filter for training using the filter field here. You can also select various catalogs so you don't see the 100 or so events that we have now, as well as you can select a start date and ending date for the training. So now I will click into my active training. This is a combination of training that is not completed. It can be e-learning right here, or it can be an instructor. Actually, this is all free e-learning I have in here. Had I signed up for an instructor-led training, it would also include that as well. So this is all SCORM-based e-learning, and we'll just do a quick launch here, just to show you the integration with e-learning. And there is audio and video. I don't think you'll be able to hear the audio, so I'll be able to hear it. So I'm just going to pause that so I don't hear the video in my ears while I'm talking to you. And it's a very good integration with the e-learning. We've had very few problems with that, and it's all self-service, and it's easy for the students to access. And even when they complete the e-learning, they can always go back if they need a refresher and review any of these modules if they have an upcoming integration that they need to refresh themselves on. So let me get rid of this, close that, and go back to the LMS. Let's go back to my training and see what else I can show you in here. I've about covered it in my training, so at this point I'm going to move into the completed tab where I do have some completed training. And this was an instructor-led course that I took last year, I believe. And this this star here is very important. Our students always want to get their cert immediately after the class is graded. So this is how they display and download that cert. The student clicks on that. The cert displays. It has the class name, when the student was certified, Now, we actually customize the certificate with two pieces of information. This auth ID, which is a one-to-one relationship between the student and this class. So our students are required to show their customers a certificate when they begin a job. So if that customer has any questions about whether this is a valid cert, all they have to do is call Tridium, give us this auth ID. We can look it up and cross-reference it to, in this case, Mike Babcock, the person's name on that cert, and then authenticate for that customer that indeed the student is certified. And then continuing education units, we calculate a 10% value CEU to hours trained. So this is a week-long or 40-hour course, and it creates a value of 4 CEU. So this is just another enticement for our students to continue with their training. You know, not only do they get a nice certificate that they can print and frame, but I think just naturally students like, you know, getting more and more CEUs. Okay, that was pretty much the front end to the completion of the training. And one thing I haven't mentioned yet is through every phase from enrollment to the completion of training, an email is sent. So I should have gotten some emails here, and I did, but I also have a couple that are saved. So it's a tight integration with emails, and we actually waitlist students until they pay upon enrollment. So unless it's a free training, the student is waitlisted, then they pay for it. Then after they've paid, they get a enrollment confirmed email with some Outlook ICS files that they can save into their calendar. And then when they complete it, we have some additional information, and we even include a little attachment that says, click here for your certificate. So again, this cuts down on the telephone calls to Tridium support, and it's reduced those cases and calls to a high degree. One thing I didn't mention is that the score, the important score, is also displayed here on the students' training, as well as the fact that they've completed it 100%. So some other features in the LMS that are very useful are the calendar. I mentioned this early. This is available on the public page, but you get more flexibility within the system. You can review kind of a small calendar here with items and hyperlinks to classes on today's date and like tomorrow. But then if you want to see the full calendar, all you have to do is click on that, and you have, you know, additional days that you can view with more and more hyperlinks, and you can scroll forward and reverse through the various months. So our students can, you know, find very easily the class that works best for them. You can also see up here the links to our various other Salesforce applications, which, you know, ties in everything Salesforce for our extended enterprise. So just at the touch of a finger, after a person logs in, they have complete access to, you know, University Marketplace. They can find answers. This uses chatter questions and answers. They can browse online documentation and see other, you know, social type information. Marketplace is here. They can find our products, they can find training partners and other companies we do business with there. So it really has provided an excellent interface for everybody that does business for us. It's you know, saved a ton of time and cut down on our caseload tremendously. So I'd also like to show you, I do run some weekly analytics, and this is one chart which really shows the history of our training support cases that have come in over the past couple of years. And right here I indicated when we launched Cornerstone for Salesforce. So keep in mind that our revenue is increasing 25%. So our revenue is going up. But if you notice, you know, this is a 12-week moving average for our training cases, and it was up here, and then we launched the LMS, and there's probably a little bump here based on just some questions students had about the LMS. But then we have been on a very nice, you know, downswing in the number of cases, and This is important because this represents, time, people, training support representatives like us talking on the phone and emailing people. So the lower the line this line can get, the better it is for us. So we've been able to produce more revenue with the same staff, and that staff actually spends less time supporting our customers because all that workload really happens automatically by our students using the website. And I've also been able to create a ton of reports in the system. And John, I've removed all the revenue figures out of this. I just saw him get wide-eyed here briefly, but yeah, no revenue figures in here. But it is really the combination of every data point, all the data that we've collected in the LMS, and I've created reports, and then I create dashboards on top of those reports. So at a fingertip, John can go in and check instructor-led revenue by region, who's doing well, who's not doing so well, as well as forecasting data. This is e-learning data, et cetera, et cetera. So we just launched APAC about a year or so ago in the LMS, and look at already how much they've they're contributing to our business here in this chart. So and then here in this chart. So being a global business with our global areas in the LMS, it's just increasing our revenue, and it's just so beneficial having that all tied into the system. So let me go back here, and I believe this concludes my LMS demonstration. Well, actually, on the student side. So there's actually another side to this, and that is the administrative side. So I actually accidentally closed my administrative window earlier in the demo, so we'll just log in here, and then I'll quickly go through this side. And this essentially is Salesforce, just like I showed you on the student side, but this is the admin side. This is what I do every day to manage the training. So what I'm going to do is go into the events menu, and this is where I manage all those instructor-led events. And Cornerstone for Salesforce makes it really easy for me to drill down into specific training partners. Here's one called MOV. And they have a number of training types. And then if I drill down into there, you can see the details and the various training events that they hold over a period of time. So this is a very popular one. So just since we launched, and I've added in some historical classes here, but these are all the trainings that one of our partners has performed, since September of 2016. So they're in fact quite busy. But Cornerstone for Salesforce makes it very easy for me to administer both instructor-led training as well as e-learning here in the courses. These are all of our courses, and they consist of the various training modules. Total items, this has about 13 hours worth of training in it, about 12 hours of training there. So just a real quick synopsis of the admin side of Salesforce. Again, not only does it make it simple and easy for students to access their training, but it makes it simple and easy for me to administer it. So with that, I am done with my demo, and we'll move back to John for an impact analysis.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mike. So I think one of my biggest impacts was hiring Mike to help me back in March of 2016. As you can see, Mike's done a really good job helping us get this thing off the ground. But I think, as you see, there's a lot of things from my perspective where these types of solutions, if you have the customer at the focus, and that customer, as we talked about, is changing over the years, but for us, we sell most of our stuff through a channel, which means we have a very small sales force, and we rely heavily on OEMs, on resellers, on people that install these systems. So in a lot of senses, you have to go with a solution that's very social in nature and that can make that touch point to the end user who actually does the installation of our software and hardware. And traditionally, if you kind of imagine the guy who typically shows up to fix your AC when it goes out, when it's 100 degrees outside, or the guy who fixes your pipes when a pipe breaks. Those are the types of customers we are dealing with. It's the traditional HVAC and plumbing, mechanical type of people. So, we're dealing with folks that, in a sense, aren't what I would consider highly technical from a college perspective or education perspective, but have to solve real-time critical needs with infrastructure. So we have to make these solutions simple. And those were some of the key drivers for us in the way that we develop these educational delivery mechanisms and systems. So just to give you an idea on business impact, I'm a lover of the shows like The Profit and Shark Tank, and you always hear about, I think it's Mr. Wonderful always asks about customer acquisition. And so for us, what we're doing is, we paid an initial upfront implementation fee, a couple things that we customized, but then after that, it's really just a license per user fee, which roughly averages out about $15 per user. But you can see we're doing most of our commercial selling is for a $500 to $3,000, training asset. So that's a very strong ROI. And if you make that customer, again, as we said, come back for additional training or e-learning or advanced training, again, you only had to pay for that $15 once, and that profit continues to increase. So, when he talks about numbers like 25 to 95%, it really can be if you provide a valuable training asset that's going to help them with their business, you can do that. Another thing is, we really were focused on this idea of a single unified digital customer experience with Salesforce as the platform. So Mike touched on a couple of these things, the communities, the marketplace, the training, licensing. We're doing a lot of other types of things with Salesforce. And if you think about it, there's these different ecosystems that are kind of following the world of Apple, the world of Microsoft, the world of Android and things like that. In a sense, Salesforce is, in a sense, another one of those ecosystems where you have a platform called Salesforce. You can find out your specific business need, and then go source out the very best application that sits on top of it, because that is going to be ultimately the customer relationship management system of choice for a lot of companies. So that's why that was very critical to us in our selection process, as far as were we willing to give up a couple bells and whistles in order to have a single unified experience? And for me, it was always yes, because we knew that it's going to pay off in the long run. And then just from a process efficiency, so I've got a small staff. It's not like we're a large group. I think we have roughly about 10 people that report to me. But a couple of them just are focused on, as Mike said, cases and registrations and all these types of things. So a lot of things that we did from a digital perspective and just self-service perspective of the customer being able to get to the information they want and enroll, and really this reduction of from 2 databases, the old LMS and Salesforce, down to 1 database, Cornerstone for Salesforce that's native in Salesforce. We easily are at a 50% faster efficiency with a lot of that type of work, and estimated about $60K per year improvement just in dollars in what I call labor, if you look at it, based on time savings. And then from a growth perspective, we know that if you're going to grow, and a lot of the work that we do is, in a sense, repetitive in nature, of getting people enrolled in courses, delivering certificates, providing the training and all those types of things, you need to have really good systems in place to continue that growth. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to burn out your people, or you're going to give a bad customer experience. They're going to be waiting. And anybody that's ever had to wait in a long line for gas or at Walmart understands that usually those are the people that don't want to come back. So we really believe in a first-class kind of customer experience that has built the stage for us to continue to grow without any concerns about that growth, which obviously makes my CEO very happy. And then the other thing is we realize that we're always thinking about the next thing. As you saw that vision slide, we've have some maturity in some of those areas, but there's a lot of areas that we want to focus on adding to this, and so we can kind of get that fast innovation through native Salesforce applications that just add more and more value to our overall offering to our customers. You know, if you think about it, we're in kind of the fast technology world, so we need to provide, you know, the adoption on a global and online delivery experience. That's what our customers expect, and that's what they want. And then, as Mike showed you, you know, it's very simple for him. If I say, hey, Mike, I need a report on such and such, he does it once. He sets up the rows and columns, and then we have real-time, accurate customer data because we're pulling that information off a single source of database. And one of the things that Mike didn't touch on, which was, I think, a really nice feature, is that our salespeople, our people that are in tech support, anybody in our organization, if they have a Salesforce login, they can pull up any customer and see what training they have, or maybe what their wait list or what they're enrolled in, and so forth and so on. It doesn't require them a special login into the LMS. It's, you know, visible to them, you know, just because they have a Salesforce login. So again, that again allows visibility across the organization for people to have access to these reports, to that type of information. And then at the end of the day, you know, when you think about the extended enterprise, especially in a channel model like we don't have a large sales force, but we, you know, are expected to grow year over year at a fast rate because of, you know, we're in one of those high growth technologies called the Internet of Things. It really is all about the data in the sense of, you know, our students, if you make them loyal and sticky and you provide them with valuable training, they will, you know, drive the sales on the projects that they're working on, and they will come back to buy your products and services, and they themselves will be able to deliver high quality customer service to their customers. And so really, you know, an interesting quote that always came back to me that was pretty interesting was former CEO of eBay said, the amazing thing about our business model is that they have a website, and she basically said, you know, what's interesting is that my customers are basically my workforce. They do a lot of the work of listing all these types of things and do a great job, and they really have, what they did is they provided a great digital experience, same thing with like Amazon, and then, you know, their businesses continue to grow year over year. And that's the same way for us, is that if you can develop a great system, provide great customer service, and continually improve upon that, you're gonna see those benefits. So with that, I know we've got a few minutes here, about 8 minutes. If Caitlin, if you wanted to open it up for any questions that have come in, or open the lines, I'm not sure how you guys do that, but we'd be happy to answer any questions we can.
Great, yeah, thank you. So just a reminder, if you have any questions, feel free to submit those in the Q&A box on the right-hand portion of your screen. All of your lines are muted, so unfortunately we won't be able to hear your questions from you directly. But to kick things off, I know we've had a couple questions flow in as the presentation has been running. Thank you all again for this fantastic information. The first question I have is for the Tridium folks. The question is, who owns training at your organization? Is it support, marketing, sales? Where do you guys roll up? John, I'll hand it off to you.
Yeah, so we're part of, you know, that what we have a group called the Customer Experience. We have a very close coupling with sales, obviously, because, like I said, you know, training is an important enabler for sales. But we're part of what's referred to as the Customer Experience team within Tridium.
Perfect. The next question is also for you guys. The question is, does Tridium create all of the e-learnings? I know Mike showed both e-learnings and instructor-led courses.
Yeah, that's a good question. We actually have a few folks on staff that are pretty familiar with Articulate Storyline, so we do develop a lot of our own e-learning using that tool as well as Camtasia. But we are also kind of working with some of our training partners and others, even customers, to develop even sometimes what I would refer to as a rough draft, you know, of some of those e-learnings, and then we'll take it and put the nice wrapper around it. And then what's the nice thing with Cornerstone is that they have unlimited web storage for you to put up your e-learning assets in the SCORM format and deliver that around the globe. So yeah, we do most of our own authoring of that e-learning content, but as long as it's in the standard format, you can put up whatever type of training meant to be listed on your website as well, or I mean your LMS as well.
Great, great. The next question says, we have a small customer training team and program. How can I best build the case to grow our program, implement something like this, and really build out a team? Any advice?
Good question. Well, I think part of it is, you know, I've really kind of taken an approach where training is a critical enabler for sales. And as you can see, I'm not sure if your training is customer facing or not, but ours is very much so. I'd say probably 95% of the training that we develop is you know, customer facing. So I can actually attribute a revenue dollar to the training and kind of track that you know, that growth. But I mean, you know, this example here of what we were able to accomplish, you know, if you just have some of these data points to share with your whoever is the one that needs to approve these projects, saying, you know, we're looking at a customer acquisition of roughly about $15 per user for X, you know, the process efficiency. There's different ways you could kind of attack it because, you know, just to give you an idea, all in, you know, based on the size of the user, you have your license fee, and then you have your implementation fee. And, you know, you can talk to the folks at Cornerstone around, you know, what that looks like, but it, you know, we had to do a little bit of configuration and customization, but you know, really the biggest chunk for us was tied to bringing in our historical data, you know, from the old system into the new. So we're working on that, you know, so from that perspective, I think what you want to look at is what's your return on that investment. And then from a building out of the team, I look at it, you know, I play a lot of sports. I look at it just much like if you were to have a basketball team, you want to have your center, your power forwards, your guards, and so forth. So what I've done is I have several folks that are trainers that are subject matter experts in the technology. I have some people that are really good at developing e-learning, and then I have Mike and a few folks that do some of the administrative. And that seems to work really well because they complement each other very well. And then I'm kind of more the overall business leader for the organization, looking at how we can address, you know, as we continue to come out with new offerings, we need to offer training for those customers. So the best approach to do that, and also just looking at the overall vision of what we want to do over the next couple of years. But we're by no means a big organization. Just to give you an idea, we're, you know, profitable, extremely profitable. For every dollar we spend, we're probably making $3 to $4 in profit.
Thank you. A couple other questions. Nicole's asking, can someone speak to how often you see users take advantage of the just-in-time training?
Yeah, that's a functionality within Cornerstone. I think a little bit of it's tied to some of the trigger functionality and also tied more to internal training. So Mike, you might be able to speak to that. I don't think we've actually taken advantage of that functionality yet in Cornerstone, or just in time.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing a little echo. Yeah, we basically have a development plan, so to speak, where users take, you know, the AX technical certification program, and then after that, they'll take an N4. We also have various e-learning kind of add-on modules. So, you know, by definition, it's not really just-in-time training. However, I would say our students kind of treat it that way, because when they get a customer that needs to install N4, which is the latest version of our framework, then they will come to our website and take the N4 training, you know, just before they need that certification to then go install that revision of our framework. So, you know, that's kind of how it's handled. It's all available at their fingertips, and our students know what they need to take, and then they will enroll in it just before they need to actually install it.
Great, thank you for that clarification. And our last question today comes from Michael. He's asking, he says, your customers access training through communities. Do you need to provide a Salesforce license per customer or per person that accesses the training?
Yes, we do. It is actually and actually we just migrated to the Customer Community Plus license just last week. All of our external users were using the Customer Community Registered license type. Salesforce has quite a variety of different license types, and we just migrated to the Customer Community Plus. So it's not an internal administrative license. We have about 125 of those for everybody that accesses Salesforce within our company, and we have about, say, 20,000 Customer Community Plus licenses available, and probably about close to those are actually being used as well throughout the year.
Yeah, and we buy it in a pool, so we basically have logins per month. You know, you can also buy it in a specific user per month. So, and we've been able to map that same license model with the Cornerstone for Salesforce and just made it a one-to-one correspondence. And so that seems to work out great. And again, it's, you know, maybe that customer acquisition, I should bump up that number a little bit based on the fact that you do need a community login. But there's also the additional benefits that they're getting from the community as well, so I didn't attribute it strictly to the training piece.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for your time and attention today. We appreciate you joining us. Thank you again to our presenters for the fantastic information. If you'd like to learn some more information about Cornerstone for Salesforce, please visit cornerstoneondemand.com. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone.